You know, in the world of tech, we all love a good David versus Goliath story, right? But what if that story wasn't happening in some garage in Silicon Valley, but in the bustling tech hubs of India? And what if the challenger wasn't some hot new startup, but a quiet, almost 30-year-old veteran that just decided to play by a completely different set of rules? Okay, let's get into this. So, this is it. This is the statement that just sent ripples through the tech world. India's top IT minister didn't just endorse a local company, he got on a public platform and announced that his own ministry was ditching the giants. We're talking Microsoft and Google for an Indian alternative. I mean, this wasn't just some casual recommendation, this was a declaration of digital independence. And that, of course, leads us to the big question. Can it really be done? We are talking about two of the most dominant, most powerful companies on the entire planet. Their products are woven into the daily lives of billions of us, how we work, how we write, how we communicate. So, can a homegrown player from Chennai actually stand up and offer a real alternative? To really understand this move, we've got to zoom out a little bit, because this isn't just about one minister picking new software. Nope, this is a piece of a much bigger national strategy. It all connects back to this idea of Atmanirbhar Bharat, which basically means a self-reliant India. The goal here is to cut down on the country's dependence on foreign tech, to really nurture local innovation, and this is the critical part, to make sure that the data of Indian citizens and the Indian government stays inside India's borders. It's a massive pushback against what some are even calling a new form of digital colonialism. And the scale of that challenge, I mean, it is just staggering. Look at this. Microsoft and Google together, they control over 80% of the entire global market for these productivity tools. They're not just market leaders. For most of the world, they are the market. That's the mountain that any competitor is trying to climb. It's a virtual duopoly. So who is this company, Zoho, that's being put in the ring to take on this challenge? Well, you might be surprised to find out they've actually been quietly training for this exact moment for decades. Yeah, Zoho is no newcomer. They were founded way back in 1996, which makes them a true pioneer in the cloud. In fact, their app, Zoho Writer, was one of the world's very first online word processors. We're talking years before many of their biggest competitors even got into the game. And today, they've got over 100 million users around the globe. This is a seasoned global company. And their whole strategy has been to build a real, true alternative, right from the ground up. I mean, for pretty much every major app you use in the Google or Microsoft world, Zoho has built its own version. You use Gmail or Outlook? They have Zoho Mail. You use Word or Google Docs? They've got Zoho Writer. But it doesn't stop there. They have over 55 different applications that cover everything from finance and HR to marketing. It's basically an entire operating system for a business all under one roof. But here's where it gets really fascinating. What truly sets Zoho apart isn't just what they build, it's how they build it. They operate on a business philosophy that is completely different from almost any other tech company their size. Let's just break down this unique approach. First off, they are fiercely private. They have never taken a single penny of outside funding, and they have zero plans for an IPO. That frees them up from all that quarterly shareholder pressure. Second, they are obsessed with R&D, reinvesting a ton of money into building their own tech. They also have this really cool philosophy called transnational localism, where they open offices in rural areas, not just the big, shiny cities. And finally, they don't just go out and compete for talent, they actually create it from scratch through their own Zoho Schools program. And this quote from their CEO, Ashwini Vaishnaw, it just nails it. By staying private, they can play the long game. They can focus on actually building great products and a sustainable company instead of chasing short-term growth targets or buying up other companies just to make it look like they're growing. And this isn't just talk, you know? They really put their money where their mouth is. They invest a massive 35% of their revenue right back into research and development. That kind of tangible commitment to innovation is what lets them build that incredibly deep, integrated stack of products we were just looking at. Okay, so they have this unique philosophy. They've got a really powerful suite of products, but let's be real. The path to competing with big tech is an absolute minefield. It is filled with massive obstacles. And they are facing some serious hurdles. Can they really close the feature gap after decades and billions of dollars of R&D from their competitors? How do you even begin to overcome the user habits of millions of people who've used Microsoft and Google tools their entire lives? Then you've got the technical nightmares, like trying to migrate massive archives of old files, and the huge question of scalability. Can their servers really handle a sudden flood of government and enterprise users without breaking a sweat?
This different way of thinking is crystal clear when you look at the most critical area in tech right now: artificial intelligence. In the AI race, Zoho isn't trying to outspend the giants. They're trying to outsmart them. So while big tech is building these enormous general AI models that try to basically memorize the entire internet, Zoho is focused on building smaller, more practical, domain-specific models. They're designed for very specific business needs, like accounting or legal work or medicine. It's just a more efficient, more cost-effective, and way more targeted approach.
And this all brings us to the final and maybe the most important piece of this entire story. Because this decision by India's government, it goes way beyond software features or business models. It taps into a really deep, growing concern all over the world.
And that concern is all centered around this one key concept: data sovereignty. To put it simply, it's the idea that your data should be subject to the laws of the nation where it was collected. See, when you use a service with servers in another country, your data is governed by their laws, not yours. By using a local solution like Zoho, India is making sure its data stays under its own legal jurisdiction. So the big takeaway here is that the Zoho story is really a symbol of a much larger global shift. This is a debate about who gets to build the fundamental technology of our future, who controls the flow of our most valuable asset, which is data. And it's a debate about whether nations can or even should build their own digital destinies. And that really leaves us with a fundamental question, not just for governments, but for every single one of us. As our lives become more and more digital, we have to ask ourselves, who do we actually trust with our information? A global tech giant? Our own national companies? Or someone else entirely? The answer to that question is going to define the next chapter of the internet.